Welcome back to my channel, Get Some Colour in Your Life. This is me, Dave Law. Today's video is something slightly different to previous videos. This is Helvellyn, and this is the reference photo that I'll be using to help me along. This is actually a commission that I've been asked to do, and it's a Christmas present for a friend of mine. So I'm hoping, there's no pressure there by the way, and I'm hoping to get this as realistic as possible. Having said that, I'm not after an exact replica of the photo, just something as close as possible. So one of the things I really want to do is capture the atmosphere of the scene, and I'm hoping to I guess get the distance. So when I paint the foreground sort of mountain, I'm hoping that that pushes the whole of the background right into the distance. So for the distance and the top part of the painting, what I want to do is almost have a pastelist or soft, nice and light sort of painting, and then a dramatic mountain in the foreground. So I think that will capture the essence of the photograph, and I think hopefully if I get that right, then I think I'll do this one justice. So the sky, I'm using a cerulean blue mixed with French ultramarine, and there's some clouds there that are a mix of Payne's grey and some alizarin crimson, and that gives a nice sort of almost purpley cast to the clouds. So I wanted to capture that in the painting itself, and you can see I'm just popping in the bottom of the clouds and bringing in a horizon line. So this is where the sky meets the land. And I'm using the same colours as the sky here, and as the closer I come to the bottom of the paper, the more colour I'll start introducing. Start using my greens and yellow ochre just to warm up the scene and to bring that closeness of the mountain and the landscape itself. So there's a few shadows within the scene. Where the light's not, where there's shadow in the distant mountains, where the light's not hitting, so I'm just popping those in, and that's giving me shapes to the mountains. And there's quite a few nice dark shadows here in the sort of mid to foreground. And by the way, I'm using Winsor & Newton professional artist grade watercolours, and I'm also using the Isobay and Da Vinci mop brush. So I find them quite nice to use. They hold plenty of water, and they've got a nice pointed tip to them. And if you're new to this channel and you want to learn more about watercolour or things to paint or ideas, if you're a beginner to watercolour, then please do subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and any comments are always welcome on this channel. You can see here I'm just going in and I'm forming the shape of the mountain. You can see the angle I'm coming in with my brush with sort of broad, quick strokes. I'm working quite fast, so I don't want any of the edges to dry as I'm doing this first initial wash. So I'm just laying down the first colour. So we'll be coming in with more darker tones and various different colours. You can see I'm introducing bits of yellow ochre and raw sienna, as I'm coming down on this left hand side. So there's probably a couple of ways you can paint in watercolour. I know sometimes I completely cover the whole of the paper in different colours and then use glazes to go over and sort of come in with the colours that you want. Or you can work a section at a time like I'm doing here with single colours. Just then start adding dark. So you're working light to dark and you're working from the distant to the foreground. You can see this side of the mountain is quite sunlit, so I want that to be quite a bit lighter than the other side of the mountain, the closest part to us. And you got little bits of sun sort of catching these hills, and I'm just going to drop in bits of colour you can see there just to nicely soften, give a bit of contour to the shape of the hills and mountains, and it does look a bit more attractive to look at, even though it's in the distance. And these shadows are quite important to get in, and they'll just give us the overall shape of some of the hills and mountains, give us that sense of just shape, and things are not just flat and one tone. So the shadows are quite important in scenes like this, and it'll help bring those highlights out as well in further stages, as I'm hoping to show you. So I'm hoping things start making a bit more sense. The more sort of dark tones, the more you sort of layer. I think that's when things start coming together a bit more. It's almost like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, and just using those nicer, sort of deeper, sort of richer tones. And when you get those darker tones, never be afraid to go dark with watercolour. And I know that's something that I struggled with for a long time, doing watercolours and having them almost like washed out sort of look. And it's only recently that I've started going darker, and that brings out the lights as well. So hopefully once I get this sort of ridge, this side of the mountain, things start to look a bit more atmospheric. You get a sense of depth and a sense of distance in the painting itself. And you can also do this in different paintings. It's not just for landscape, but you can also use this in any sort of watercolour and get that sense of distance. You can see I'm moving around, I'm sort of all over the paper, just seeing what needs doing and going for it. But you can see as I'm building up the layers of colour in the foreground, it does push the background further into the distance. And that's the look that I really was hoping to achieve. So just, you see, I'm just touching in a bit more. I need to emphasize a bit more of the clouds and the sky, so I'm just darkening up. And then once I've put down pigment, I'll start using water just to soften the edges and to blend them into the clouds, so I don't have such a hard, strong line. I really hope this is making sense. Drop us comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. But it really is a build-up. You sort of build in different layers and adding things, and you can take away. You can sort of lift and take the pigment out slightly. But I'm just trying to get the tones that I want, and obviously remembering that the pigment dries slightly lighter than what it is you put down. Now I'm gonna show you a colour. You can see this nice colour which I'm really pleased with, and this is a Naples yellow. It's not a colour that I use a lot, but it really is effective in this painting, and I'm just touching up little tiny bits of the Naples yellow in the front of the closest mountain, and it does give that really nice warm sort of sunlit effect. Well, let me know what you think in the comments. Does this achieve a nice sense of light in the scene? And also just popping into the clouds. I know some people are against using gouache, white gouache in watercolour, but I just wanted to pick out some of these clouds, some of the highlights in the clouds, just to give that little pop and help them to stand out a little bit more. So I'm just using a tiny bit of white gouache, just straight from the tube, just dipping my thin sort of smaller brush and just getting that as an opaque colour, so it does sort of stand out just a little bit more, give that emphasis of the sky and a bit of movement and the clouds. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay, I think we're really getting there now, coming close to the finish of this painting. Now can you see how see the dark against the light, the sort of peak of the mountain? and how that affects the softer, more light background. So just the way the mountain pops, that's the sort of effect that you want. So never be scared of going dark in watercolour, using those tones and sort of pushing colours and contrast. Even exaggerate where possible, you can do, and it does make the difference. Like I said, for a long time I was using watercolours and not really pushing colour or pushing the darks. I was scared to go dark in watercolour, and it was something that it took me a long time to realise, just to not be afraid and to use those darks and make the most of it. It helps with the light. So this is my favourite part, is taking the masking tape off, and there we go, that's the finished painting. So I hope you like that. Thanks for watching. Again, please subscribe, give us a like, and I'll see you again in the next video.